Hey Noggin Defenders, welcome to day 7 of This Book Will Change Your Life. It's-a me, a helmet boy! Like my shirt? Pretty epic. Yeah. Anyway, today is an interesting one. Day 7 says, masturbate at 13.56 to the following fantasy. And it has this really sexy paragraph, and this paragraph here is the women's paragraph. So I'm going to read this incredibly sexy story to you, so you can get off to it. Women. Alright, just for the ladies. Dark storm clouds were gathering over the alpine mountaintop as Emma finally reached the refuge. Where were the others? Where was her husband Edward? Perhaps they had fallen behind and taken the safe track back toward St. Paul des Clerics and civilization, she wondered. Well, there was no point in panicking now. Night was falling fast, and she would have to spend it up here all alone at the mercy of these peaks. Exhausted, she entered the deserted cabin and barely had time to strip off her drenched clothes and slip into the thermal sleeping bag that Edward had thoughtfully given her for her 6th anniversary, before a deep slumber overtook her naked body. As even the moon retreated from the inhospitable horizon, strange and fitful dreams came upon her. She tossed and turned in the night, her feverish brow victim to wild imaginings, full of visions of werewolf-like creatures creeping around the cabin, circling, surrounding her with deep-breathing low whistles that seemed to hiss and crackle like fire. Emma opened her eyes and shrieked in the empty night. There, across the room, stood the tall, dark stranger. She held her breath in terror as he looked up from the fire he had lit in the wide hearth and stared at her inscrutably. Her eyes seemed to contain words beyond her ken. "Who are you? What do you want?" she cried. The man made no reply, but simply tossed another log onto the fire with barely a flicker of his powerful, deep-veined forearm. He breathed in deeply, closed his eyes, and Emma's voice was trembling. "Look now, I don't know what is going on, but..." He silenced her with a look from his piercing green eyes that seemed to cut right through her. Before she even realized what she was doing, Emma raced through the door in a mad dash for freedom, through the door and out into a thick curtain of rain lashing down over her exposed skin. He caught up with her easily, his strong arms grabbing her by the waist and hauling her back into the cabin. She writhed desperately in his grip until she could no more. He held her still, stared into her eyes, and finally spoke in halting English, in the manner of one who seemed above words. "Don't. It is too dangerous out there for you. You are safe here with me." And somehow she knew that this was so. The fire dispensed a warm glow to the room. Before she had even recovered from the onslaught of the elements, she was trapped in an embrace as powerful as any of nature's furies. As a storm raged and outside, she stared into the infinite depths of his eyes, and then he was upon her, touching her with deep within, roughly of course, but with infinite tenderness. Suddenly lightning struck a tree nearby, while its thunder covered her animal moans. He held her tight for what seemed an eternity until the first light of dawn broke the enchanting spell of the mountain gods, and the mountain gods had woven around them. And he was gone, as swiftly as he had come. Was it but a dream? Emma wondered wistfully as she drifted back to sleep, smiling, her brow no longer troubled. Pretty sexy, huh, ladies? Alright, so that was the story for the ladies to get off on. The story for the men to get off on is two blondes doing it together. And with that, I'm gonna go jack off. Alright guys, that's it for day 7. Leave a comment or video response telling me whether or not you thought that story was hot, or whatever. And be sure to thumb me in the green and subscribe if you haven't already. Peace, love, cranial protection.